out to all of our service members wherever you may be across the globe. So to every airman, to every soldier, every sailor, Marine, and Coast Guardsman, thank you for your service. I also want to say thank you to each of your families. We could not do what we do today in our military without the support of our spouses, their children, and each of their family members. So to every active duty, guardsman, reservist, and civilian who contribute to the fight, thank you. Happy Veterans Day. Go Cowboys.
Ready for whatever, we do it together. Yes. Everybody focused, trying to live forever. Yes. Banging like a stone, you should've checked the weather. Yes. Calling us the best, cause we do it better. Look, ain't no I in team, but there's an I in win. Got my eyes on the finish line before I begin. The way I run on the track, feel like I got wings. Yeah, teamwork. Yeah, teamwork. Watch the teamwork, watch the teamwork. Everybody on their job, watch the teamwork. Everybody hustle hard, that's how my teamwork. Yeah.
Speaking of teamwork, look where we are, the ultimate team. Happy Friday, everybody. First Take coming to you live from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, getting you set for Veterans Day weekend. Our next guest made a living terrorizing quarterbacks in the desert, all too familiar. Former Cardinal, current Jaguar, four-time Pro Bowler, Calais Campbell. Thank you so much for being here.
Quarterbacks, though.
No question. Just change locations. That is for sure. We really appreciate you being here.
Happy to be here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this started. Antonio Brown in the news again. Here's the latest. I hear you all. Yesterday, sources told our Josina Anderson that Brown is scheduled to meet with the NFL next week over accusations that he sexually assaulted multiple women. Later, Brown took to Twitter with a profanity-laced tweets directed toward the NFL and fans. Let me read those to you. Imagine conforming to a system, giving it 100% to see them treat me this unfairly, making money off my sweat and blood. The NFL, I'll never play, and that expletive, treat black people the worst, clear my name, and go expletive yourself. Then, Brown backtracked. I'm just very frustrated right now with the false allegations and slander to my name. I love football. I miss it. I just want to play, and I'm very emotional about that. I'm determined to make my way back to the NFL. Stephen A., that's a lot. Has Brown's image been damaged beyond repair at this point?
In my estimation, yes. Let me give Max Kellerman credit from the perspective of he was alluding to something may be wrong with Antonio, but he also talked about how he doesn't need to be back. The other day I was saying if one of the 32 teams can take him, if the NFL hasn't banned him from the league, hell, the Eagles, you need him back, okay, with all those receivers dropping those passes. But I looked at that tweet yesterday, and I said, you can't bring him back this year. You got to keep him out of the league, period. He shouldn't be allowed back in the league. And for this season. And here's why I say this. You're about to go up to the NFL, and you're saying F them when you know that they're the ones that have to make the decision as to whether or not they're going to allow you back. And, oh, by the way, what are you talking about their treatment of black people? The NFL isn't the one that accused you of sexual assault. Those were women that you had in your life. You chose them. You were involved with it. That has nothing to do with Roger Goodell. That has nothing to do with Troy Vincent. That has nothing to do with Derek Brooks. That has nothing to do with the NFL. Those are your actions as a man, and as a result, because they have an obligation to protect the shield, they're investigating the matter that took place in your personal life. He's trying to give the impression that the NFL is bothering him. No. The NFL is not bothering you. You're bothering the NFL because you put them in a position to preoccupy themselves with something other than football because of the way that you're acting. And
they haven't even punished him yet.
And they haven't even. Now, we're sitting next to a man that's been an all-pro, as decent of a human being as we can get. And I got news for you. More than 90% of NFL players are good dudes. They're good dudes. They don't act up. It's the few that tarnish them. And you put yourself in this position is bad enough. But then to blame everybody but yourself. You got people like Max and others wondering whether or not you suffer from CTE. That's how bad it is. And guess what? If he was suffering from CTE, and we certainly don't wish that on him, let's be very, very clear. That's letting him off the hook. Because what if it's not a CTE issue at all? What if it's just you being who you are? It's a damn shame. And it's embarrassing.
We're having some audio issues, so I got the stick mic. But
yes.
Let me say this about Antonio Brown. As you would say, Stephen A., and not to make light of it, something is wrong with him.
Yes.
And he is doing it to himself. He's telling on himself constantly. At first, it was not clear. Because I'm inclined to take the player's point of view. I'm pro-player. So at first I'm like, okay, he was doing it so much, chirping so much in Pittsburgh. I'm like, nah, it's probably Antonio. But then Le'Veon Bell said, no, Roethlisberger said, oh, now you have two guys saying it's Roethlisberger. How's this going to play out? And Antonio Brown got his money. Crazy like a fox. Okay, now he's going to ball for John Gruden. Never got on the field in the regular season. And he has this victim complex, right? You could talk about the plight of African Americans in this country, and you can even talk about how the league resembles the country's original sin yes, it's making millionaires, but also you look at the coaches, the owners are almost all white. The coaches, I get it. Like Antonio Brown could make a point about racial influences, all that. That's not what's happening here. There's no making Antonio Brown happy, and it's also not the job of the league to try to make him happy. He gets his money. He gets to Oakland. He's playing for a coach everyone loves, only he never gets to play for him. He throws everyone under the bus, and he gets cut by that team. So then he goes to the Patriots, and I'm going, oh, okay, that was the plan all along. They got a little side deal with Belichick. He'll play for the Patriots. And then think of what happened. Even if he thought he was being extorted by someone, you don't put in a text what he put in a text to that young woman, and he did that on his way in the door to the Patriots. Once in the door, he did it again. I mean, it's like there is something wrong with him. I'm not saying it's CTE. It's some kind of mental or emotional disturbance, in my opinion. Let me quickly say before I give it to the all-pro over here, I think he can come back from it. I think in this country, we give people second, third, fourth, and fifth chances. If they show the willingness to deal with themselves and get themselves right, we will extend second, third, and fourth and fifth chances. That's our culture, right? So if Antonio Brown faces himself and gets right, I think he can come back from this. But he is showing every indication that he's not close to there. He's not close to accepting responsibility and changing his behavior. And until that happens, there will be no coming back.
Especially with the recent tweets that we just read. Calais, what are your thoughts?
I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. We all go through things. We all have our own personal issues. And at the end of the day, your job should be separate from those. But at this time, he just keeps putting himself in position by just speaking on it and talking about it. And it's like, sometimes you got to just pull yourself back, be quiet, and try to put together a good team to help you with that, and just play football and focus on football. I think on the football field, he's an incredible player. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He can help any team when he's on the field playing football. But the hard part about it is he's not playing football. He's creating a distraction a lot of the time. And I pray for him. I know him. He's a good guy from my experiences with him. And I'm praying for him, hoping he's okay.
I've spoken to him on several occasions in the past. I've always been incredibly fond of him. I can't even measure the level of disappointment that I have felt over what he's been accused of and the actions that we know of. I don't want to hear anything about race coming from him. You threw Mike Tomlin under the bus. You threw Juju Smith-Schuster under the bus, revealing his private messages to you when all he was trying to do was be a young kid, getting counsel and advice from you, violated their trust. In Oakland, he was supposed to meet with John Gruden, stood him up, and then when Drew Rosenhaus got him and John Gruden on the phone, unbeknownst to John Gruden at the time, although they say his social media team that ultimately John Gruden approved it being disseminated, the bottom line is at the time that you were talking to John Gruden, you were taping his conversation without his knowledge, which is a violation of state laws in California. Let's not forget that. And oh, by the way, let's keep this in mind too. When he was in Oakland, he got the $1 million up front, $29,125,000 $100,000 was guaranteed to him if he shut his mouth up until Tuesday morning, that Thursday that he was meeting with them. If he had shut up until Tuesday morning.
You know how many people will never sniff that kind of money in their life? It's ridiculous.
Please let me finish this. $29,125,000. A Thursday night comes. He knows all I have to do is shut up until Tuesday morning, and the number is guaranteed to him for the next 2 years, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't shut up for 4 days.
Stephen A., there is something
to make $29 million.
Look,
Guaranteed.
This is my point. There's something wrong with Antonio. I'm not mocking him. Like, he needs to get help. There's something wrong with him mentally, emotionally, and he's also on this kick. I almost feel bad saying this because right after I say there's something wrong with him, I'm taking him to task for something he said. It's almost, I'm not saying, of course you're responsible for the things you do, but I don't think he's in his right mind. He said the only reason people care about Antonio Brown, the public, is because he plays football. That's it. And if he thinks it's more than that, Antonio, you've had all this time off. What have you done with the time? He tried to go back to school and then tweeted out that he wanted to copy someone's, remember he wanted someone to do his paper for him. Like, he tweeted it out. There's something wrong with him. He needs to get right.
All I know is he blasted the NFL in those tweets, then quickly took them back. So somebody's in his ear trying to straighten him out. Calais is not going anywhere. Thank you again for being with us. When we come back, y'all got a treat. Steven's A-List live in person in Tucson in honor of the leaders.